Help me. All right, here we go.
PTZOptics presents Back to the Basics live every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. A high-definition broadcast on Facebook, focusing on camera line tutorials with our Chief Screening Officer, Paul Richards, and our social media manager, Tess Protesto. Back to the Basics live. New videos every Wednesday.
Hey everybody, what's going on? Paul Richards here with PTZOptics. I'm all alone. I don't have Tess with me, but I have something really fun to show, which is the NDI cameras. This is going to be a really fun show, and I'm going to jump right into what the show is going to be all about. So as you may know, the NewTek NDI is a low latency IP streaming, IP video protocol. And it does more than just video and audio. It actually includes automatic detection over your IP network. And it's really going to simplify the world of video over IP, make things so much easier for us to implement. And I would say the most powerful thing about NDI is the simplicity of it. The easiest way to integrate with an NDI source or an NDI camera is the software you're most likely already using. So if you're a vMix user, or a Wirecast user, or xSplit, or OBS, or a NewTek TriCaster user, or maybe just somebody using any video conferencing software, literally any software that uses a webcam can use NDI, and we're going to show you that. In fact, there's something new I'm going to show you today that has not been released. It's called NDI Virtual Input. I'm also going to show you the brand new NDI Studio, which is an improved version of the NDI video monitor, because it does much more than video monitoring now. And I'm going to show you how we integrate our NDI camera models with OBS, xSplit, Wirecast, Livestream, and vMix. Going to do it all right now, right in front of you guys. I'm watching the chat, so I am here to definitely listen to you guys. I can see the chat right behind me. One of the things I will say before we jump into this that was interesting to me was that not every software is equal. It was interesting to see that some of the live streaming software that I'm going to walk you through might only be able to take in NDI sources and not send out NDI sources. Or some may be able to send out NDI sources but not ingest NDI sources. So we're going to try to cover a lot of those, like the status of what the live streaming software is today. And just know that it is fairly new. So some companies, like I know Livestream, is still kind of working on what their implementation is. And xSplit, we'll go over everything so you know the status of things today. And I'm going to start with, I really want to show off the NDI Studio Monitor. So this is a free tool from NewTek, and it allows us to go ahead and monitor and view every single NDI camera source on our network. One of the cool things in the setting area, you can see you can have you can check safe areas, you can hide and show the PTZ controls. So one of the things I didn't even mention yet is that NDI now is a PTZ pan tilt zoom camera standard. So if your camera is connected via NDI and it has pan tilt zoom, then it will automatically use that standard for controlling the camera. There you can see a little tally light that I used there. Let me set a preset so I can show you how that works. There's a little store button. You click the button that you want to store and move over to a new preset. I'll just set one more preset here. We'll go ahead and hit store 2, and we can just bounce around between 2 presets. So there's 9 presets on the NewTek Studio Monitor. I'll go ahead and zoom out there. So I recorded this earlier. One of the things you'll see there is at the very top, you saw a drop down that said Studio. And what that is you can group NDI sources into groups, basically. So if you have multiple studios on your local area network, you can group them up. So see that studio there, you can see I have 6 different NDI cameras. 2 of them are the box cameras, which are in beta. It looks like we might be able to get that on there, but they're not even supposed to be talking about those, just the pan tilt zoom cameras currently. You can see if we use the settings there, there's a low bandwidth mode. So you can see there it goes into low bandwidth. It's not the prettiest thing in the world, but you may need it in the future if you're doing some remote controlling or remote monitoring and you have low bandwidth. You can see support for tally, which essentially turns us into a tally system. You were using hardware acceleration, And that's just really it. So that it's really got a lot in there. There's also a couple other features I didn't get to mention is it does local recording. So you can actually record a single NDI source locally to your computer. Now NewTek also has an ISO recorder, which allows you to do 2 channels, and then they have a pro version that I think does 16 channels of NDI. Now one of the things I think that's amazing is that we're using all NDI sources right now. You're seeing me via NDI. So the quality is really incredible because it's really high bit rate H.264 with a wrapper around it that NewTek knows exactly when it's receiving. And so even over a busy network, and of course, Andrew Cross was on our show. I'm not sure if you heard this. He's promising that this will work on any gigabit switch. So you don't need to buy expensive switches. And if it's really been designed so that it can work on a switch from Best Buy. And we're going to be testing the lowest end, cheapest switches and wireless access points and routers so that we can really show that this will work on almost any system out of the box as long as it's gigabit. So the next NewTek tool I want to show, and then I'm going to go over Wirecast, vMix, NDI, and xSplit, is a lot of us have used Zoom before. This is a video conferencing software just like WebEx, just like Skype, GoToMeeting. And you can see I have NewTek NDI as my video source. And what that is, and I'm going to overlay it here in the bottom right, is it sits in the system tray. And this is going to be free with every NDI camera. It basically allows you to select any NDI source, and it will automatically show up in the Zoom call or the GoToMeeting or the WebEx or the Skype, right? So now, without having to connect a whole bunch of webcams to your computer, you can now have like Zooms or WebEx or Skype lock into a single virtual camera from NewTek. This is called the NewTek Virtual Input. And now you can cycle through all of the NDI sources on your network. So that's what's so cool about it. It really is something that I see huge value in because now, again, one of the dreams of PTZ cameras and what we've always wanted is a single input. Power, control, video, audio, high quality video, low latency. It's actually fairly low bandwidth, just 10 megabits for NDI HX. And that's it. And now we can bring it into Skype, GoToMeeting, WebEx, anywhere in our office, anywhere on our network in extremely high quality. I mean, I would love to hear what people think about the quality of this video right now. It is really good quality. It's extremely low latency, and there's no blips or anything that you might think of seeing with H.264 or RTSP. It's mind-blowing. So I know a lot of our customers are Wirecast users. So here in Wirecast, if we go to capture devices, immediately it will, you see NDI sources at the top, it will show all of the NDI sources that are available to us. So Wirecast has done a really great job. It's built right into Wirecast. This is actually a trial version of Wirecast. So I believe it's been built into both the Pro and the standard versions of Wirecast. So I think that's really cool. They've done a great job there. And I'm just going to answer some questions while we're showing this because it's fairly straightforward. Quality is looking good from Barbados, says Jim McGowan. But you can see here just adding cameras to Wirecast. Capture device, they all show up automatically. So will the G2 be using the original NDI or NDI HX? This will be NDI HX. So I'm just going through showing Wirecast capabilities here. I did try to do the hot swapping where you right-click an NDI input like you can do on vMix and the TriCasters. Wirecast does not have that little hot shortcut, but still, it does audio and video ingest. Now, last time I checked, Wirecast does not have an NDI output. So as I was mentioning how some software is a little different than others, it looks like NDI, it's coming in at 1080p 30 is what we have this specific NDI input set to, but we can do, it's resolution independent, so we can do 1080p 60 with our NDI cameras. You can see I'm just kind of scrolling through there. All of the information's coming directly into Wirecast, and I just added 5 cameras to Wirecast in a matter of seconds all over the network. No need for expensive SDI cables and all of that stuff. And you can see there we can actually go ahead and that was the little cog button there, and we can go in. It didn't allow us to change the source as I was expecting, but it does allow you to actually change the audio. So that's Wirecast. A lot of Wirecast users out there plug and play NDI directly into Wirecast. Now, the next one I want to show is vMix. I know a lot of our customers use vMix. You can see me using it here quite a bit. vMix has an NDI tab, and you can see here that it automatically recognizes all the NDI cameras. One of the cool things here, you can see it says Studio there, and it's giving us a snapshot picture of each one. It says Studio. So that's because Matt Davis, and I'm not sure how he did this, but Matt, I see you're in the chat room, somehow you group together all of the NDI sources in this studio and put them in a single space. So that was really cool. One of the things I wanted to show, and this is the shortcut I was talking about in vMix, is if you right click at any NDI source, it allows you to hot swap between any of the NDI sources on your network. So that's just really cool immediate switching there. We're going to talk about latency. I was just doing some quick testing of the latency. One of the other cool things that NewTek has implemented. Now, first off, I did want to show this. Currently, PTZ control for vMix users will be done over an IP address using Visca over IP. NDI will standardize, Matt's saying magic for the studio grouping. It will standardize PTZ control, but currently, if you want to do IP pan tilt zoom control, and I'll do a quick demonstration here of how that works, it will be over the Visca over IP address. So I just created a preset. I'm going to zoom in and do one more over here in the corner. There we go. And I'm going to create another input, another preset. This is camera pan tilt zoom preset. And change the speed just a hair there. Okay. And create one more input here. And then I'll just show you going back and forth. You see they create these PTZ inputs inside of vMix, and they go back and forth. Now, the other thing I want to mention is you can see that the little thumbnails inside vMix are live. They are actually a standard definition video feed from the cameras. So the cameras are actually sending a high definition feed and a low definition feed to fill those little preview windows in vMix, and the TriCaster also supports that. Currently, I believe that vMix and the TriCaster are the only ones that support the low definition thumbnails with the high definition switching back and forth. So that way, if you've got 10 NDI cameras, only one is in preview and one is in output. Those other 8 are very low bandwidth on your network, and then we're just using those high definition feeds when we need them. So that's really cool. Okay, OBS. I know a lot of us are OBS users. I've become a fan of OBS over the years. What we did was we installed a plugin for OBS. It's the NewTek NDI plugin, and you saw that there was an NDI opportunity there to add as an input, and it just automatically recognizes them. So I have to give OBS, whoever the developer for that, credit, because they've actually outdone xSplit, which actually does not currently at this time support NDI sources as inputs. So as you can see here, we've added a couple different inputs. Now, OBS and xSplit and currently Wirecast and Livestream do not even support pan tilt zoom control for our cameras, but they do support NDI video ingestion, so we wanted to show that off. Now, the TriCaster and vMix are currently the go-tos for pan tilt zoom control of our cameras and NDI support in the single package. But you can see here the NDI video looks great, and one of the things that I love is even when it's panning and tilting and zooming, there's no video tearing. Usually when there's a lot of motion, that's when you might see tearing on like an RTSP or an H.264 stream. You see a little video tearing. None of that. Now again, we're on a local area network, which is one of the ways Andrew Cross is able to work this magic, because he knows exactly when things are connecting and disconnecting, and that's beyond my understanding, but that's how, because he knows exactly, he's able to drop frames, he's able to do things, the P frames that are unnecessary, and able to reduce bandwidth and really increase the reliability of the stream so that it looks as if it's an SDI stream. Last one, two more here, really quickly. xSplit. Excuse me. One of the things I realized is that xSplit has the ability to turn on NDI as an output. That's it. That is it. So there's not a whole lot to even show here. That you cannot ingest NDI sources, and if I'm wrong, please let me know, but that's what I've been shown. That's what I've been told. That's all I could find online. So Matt's giving us some answers in the chat room, and we're going to go ahead and continue this. So, and Guitar Guts is saying he is seeing some tearing. So I'm going to go ahead and check that today when we do some more. We'll do some panning and tilting in this video and check it out. So there's not a whole lot to see on xSplit. Last one here is Livestream. Livestream is a very popular one. What I did here is I go up to the add input area here. A little different. I was not really as familiar as I am with some of the other software with Livestream, but if you go in here, you can go ahead and name your cameras, and automatically, if you've got NDI sources on your network, it will be an option in Livestream. So you see on the drop down there, the Pro captures, those are all my SDI coming in, and then all my NDI sources are there as well. So it comes in with video and audio for NDI. So once you set up all these inputs, I think I'll set up one more in this video here, and I'll go ahead and hit save, and then we'll see what happens. If you're on a PC monitor, it's 60 hertz, the TC video, and that's what's causing the tearing. Oh. So it could be just the monitor that you're watching on. So there are all of our NDI sources inside Livestream. So, all right, so I've got some latency tests. I'm here for you guys, so I am here to watch the chat room. That's what my job is today. So you guys ask questions, I'll come up with answers. My engineer's here as well. The video looks great. We're going to do some panning and tilting to see if we can identify any video tearing, because that's the one thing that I thought possibly I would find. I didn't see any, but we'll check. And I've got some quick NDI. Yeah, so that's all of the integration. And now I'm going to show a couple different setups here. So setup number one. This is fairly basic, let's be honest. It's a clock. You've got your 3G SDI on top at 1080p 60, and you've got your NDI feed coming in also on 1080p 60 here, and it's just a clock. And a lot of people like to see clocks because there is the moving hand there. So, and just while this is going off, this is a great example. You know, just test 1, 2, test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you know, just testing here. It says, John Trappy saying, I have 2 separate gigabit ports on my computer's motherboard. Can the NDI plug into one of these ports? While it's possible, NDI products require multicast capabilities to fully realize their potential. Without an appropriate switch in line, functionality cannot be guaranteed. John, on a dual NIC, NDI plays and sends, it will receive game with the ports. So from what I understand, and I did talk to Andrew Cross about this, is that it will actually, you can actually use multiple ports from what I've been told. Okay, so now here is, we're going to switch over to this one. Here is just me talking. So 3G SDI on the top left, NDI bottom right. So here we go, left, right, left, right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little panning and tilting. Moving around a little. And that's my monitor over there. And one of the things we're going to show with that monitor is a millisecond latency counter. But I just kind of wanted to show this. I would keep, if it were me, there's my tally light there showing that it's on. I would look at the NDI signal, right? And there's all the, look at that. There's the SDI and the IP input there. And I would look at it and see, am I seeing any video tearing in the NDI signal? There should definitely not be any in the IP signal here. Okay? So there's our ceiling camera there. I'd rather see a stopwatch or an ESE run clock. You know what? That's a good point. Could you not use a crossover Ethernet cable between the cameras and the NICs? Technically on the TC1, the dual NIC card can send and receive, so you're not crashing the threshold of the gigabit network. Okay, so just giving an idea here. Now, next thing I want to do, and I should have, is that my preset there? All right, that's my preset 1. I thought that was my preset. Oh, here, this is my preset 2. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to play, and I know I would like to have a real clock in here, and now I have a reason to buy one. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, really all we care about is the milliseconds, so I'm going to put that up so it's a little easier to see. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to do this. I encourage you guys to do this as well if you're interested. I'm going to take a picture of this, and then I'm going to add it to my video production. So boom, and now I'm going to go ahead and add it to my production. Oh my gosh. I literally have a picture that shows no latency at all. And I want you guys to do this too and post it to the user group. You know, let me know. But literally, I just took 3 pictures, and every single one shows exactly the same latency. And this is our current. Now, Guitar Guts is saying that possibly it would be nice to see. Let's see here if I can pull this up. Good. There we go. It would be nice to see. Let's see if I can add this. Yeah, that's not getting in the way. Is there a recommended feature to look out for when choosing a router to use NDI? That's a good question. From Facebook, Matt Davis, if you saw that one. I'm going to go ahead and really want to download a picture that I took here. And go ahead and take a picture of this if you're interested. There could be some people that are saying right to themselves right now, wow, you know, it's so close, and SDI cabling is so expensive, and NDI or Ethernet cabling is so inexpensive that what's the point of buying SDI cabling? And that was the scary part, yet, and I just want people to take a picture themselves to really just see this, because I don't want to be the one, you know, saying how amazing it is. And not have other people, you know, support me on this one, because I think it's something that is definitely going to be popular. Now, here's one other thing I want to do. This is something I was thinking of in the back of my head. Is I'd like to add a desktop capture feed if I can. There it is, 14. I'm going to add the desktop capture to this view. Just give me once. It's going to blank up for a second. Oh. Let's go back there. Sorry. So that right there is the desktop capture. So there are, you know, there is inherent latency. Let me take a picture of this one with cameras in general. So now if we take a snapshot of that. Yeah, now we're looking at, 100 milliseconds possibly. So that's just something to think about. If anyone wants to take a snapshot, I'll leave that up for a second. And then we'll go back to this. All right, so that was the demonstration. I know there's probably people out there that don't want to look at spinning numbers all day, so I figured I would just leave that up for a little bit. Give you guys an example. I would love to know what you guys think. Let me get that off there. Back here. Oh, no, right here. There we go. This one. So yeah, that was the presentation for today. There is one other thing I want to show, which is I want to show the upgrade process. And I'll show that here. Here we go. There's an upgrade process that I think you'll find simple. So if you do have a PTZOptics camera today, what we can do is there's going to be a firmware license upgrade, and it's actually going to be 50% off. So Matt Davis is actually mentioning that in the chat here. Here's the SKUs for the NDI model. So at a certain point, we will start shipping NDI cameras that will have the firmware already on them. But I already see Tim Murkowski here saying, you know, is it available as a firmware upgrade? Yes, it is. In fact, it will be cheaper to buy a camera today and get the $300 firmware upgrade, which is 50% off what it will cost when the shipment announcement is made in the fall for these models. So currently, there's a limited time promotion upgrade. This is the SKU. It's 50% off $600 until they're shipping sometime in the fall. So we're not sure when that's going to be. You know, we have to get the cameras in-house. They're being manufactured now. The firmware, we just literally today is the first time I've ever used them on a live stream. And I really think that they look great, and we've done a lot to see this. You can go ahead and submit your serial number and your MAC address at ptzoptics.com/upgrade in order to get all that information. Now, you can locate your serial number at the bottom there, in the bottom of your camera, and you can locate the MAC address using either our upgrade tool at ptzoptics.com/downloads, or you can actually log into the IP address of the camera and you can find the MAC address. So just the serial number and the MAC address, and we've got a full free course on the NewTek NDI, which I actually need to redo because there's so much new stuff already. Like I showed off that new studio monitor, that's brand new. I don't believe that has been released yet. And the NDI virtual input, which is going to be the replacement for the, it used to be called NDI transmit. So it's going to be, it's either an upgrade to that NDI transmit, or it's actually an NDI camera only. So if you're an NDI camera owner, that may be the only way you can get NDI virtual input. So it's free. Usually it's $200 if you want to buy that. It's going to be completely free for all of our NDI camera customers. Now I'm just reading the chat here. John's asking if you can explain how 3 NDI cameras and a streaming computer would be networked into a conference room's LAN, one switch into the wall. Hi Joey, how's it going? Saying hi to Joey here. I believe what he's asking, and I'm going to get rid of this because we already finished it. Let's get rid of that one. Let's start again. There we go. I believe what you're asking is, you know, would it be needed to actually just put a switch in your conference room so that your switch would get that one, your switch, and we have one here. In fact, I could zoom in on it, but it's a little messy over there. Is that you would have one PoE switch in your boardroom or your conference room, all right? Run one Ethernet cable to each camera, camera A, maybe camera B, maybe you've got 2 cameras, and that Ethernet cable would not only power the cameras, but it would also provide you video and audio if you were running your audio through. So in that scenario, and John's answering this now, sorry, Matt Davis is answering this. He's saying it's pretty simple. Each camera would be attached to the same PC, same switch as the PC, or wirelessly to that PC, which is an interesting thought. So technically now we're opening up doors for wireless, and that's an interesting thought that I have been playing with, and I haven't fully done any videos or testing on this, but technically, because we're doing networking, okay, the cameras could be wirelessly, and now I'm glad you mentioned that because I want to put this in, I want to make a video on this. You can now wirelessly control all of these cameras, right? You put the NDI Studio that we showed earlier today. In fact, I'll just flip it up one more time here. Where is that? Right here. You could just put this on your computer, and you could pan, tilt, and zoom any camera on your network. Plus, here's something else that actually Andrew Cross did mention on our show, is that you can actually plug in a USB joystick to the NDI Studio Monitor and use that. So that means you can use like an Xbox. In fact, I have one here. I haven't even tested it yet. But you could technically use any USB joystick controller and control any NDI camera on your network with a $20 Xbox controller via USB. So it's something that's very interesting. Joey Barron is saying, so the IP series can use 10 gigabit switches that we have. You've got 10 gigabit switches? That's good. That's very good. What's the backbone of your switch is the kind of sometimes the bigger question from what I understand. But I know we have a 5 gigabit switch here. We're using the Ubiquiti PoE switches. I think it's a 24 port switch. And what I think is interesting, and I'm just learning about some of this stuff today, how quickly you can fill up a network switch. How quickly you can use up 255 IP addresses. And this is something that I'm sure any IT person can relate to. All the smartphones, all the computers. Now we're talking about adding additional cameras, right? We've got our box cameras have IP. They're power over Ethernet. Our pan tilt zoom cameras have IP. So we've got a lot of different cameras here, and they're all doing their thing and taking up IP addresses, and we only have 255. And Joey's saying, yes, he not only does he have 10 gigabit switches, but he's also got Cat 7. I didn't even know there was Cat 7. And fiber. I'm assuming you have fiber. Jeez. What kind of company do you work at, Joe? That's pretty cool. I mean, geez, that's probably one of the most advanced networks I've ever heard of. And you've got a 24 port just for the studio. Yeah, so we have a 24 port as well. I think it's 5 gigabit backbone, 24 port Ubiquiti switch. And I couldn't believe how quickly plug, we've got 4 left, So don't get by I would say, stay away from a 10 port or an 8 port, or especially not a 4 port switch. You're going to want those extra ports in the future unless it's literally like a mobile system that you're just rolling out. RCTV saying, Paul, please at the end of the show, give the specs of the PC you're using. Thank you. Our PC was actually built by Tom Sinclair at Eastern Shore Broadcasting. I'm not sure if Matt Davis can copy and paste the specs, but I can actually. I think I have it somewhere. Let me see if I can pull it up. Custom PC. Here it is. Let me see if I can find. Maybe it's streaming PC. See if I can find this. Our PC is pretty cool, I will say. I'm gonna enter this into the chat. So here it is. This is the specifications. Let's see if this goes in. Boom. Oh, it's too much for the chat. Can't fit it into the chat. i7 hex core, 32 gigs of RAM, 240 solid state hard drive. No, we do not have an i9. I'm jealous of everyone with i9s. I'm just going to have to cut some of this off to get it in here. There. I just pasted it into the chat room, which means if it's in the chat room, then it actually should show up right here using Chat Connect Pro. You got YouTube and Facebook there. Integration. Yep, there it is. Take a snapshot. That right there was, wow, that went fast. It's 5 seconds, I think, per chat. It'll stay up there. But basically, the i7 hexa-core, all of that. Yeah, Matt Davis just dumped it in there for me as well. A Thunderbolt port, which we're probably going to be using. And then we also have 2 Pro Capture HD SDI, which are 3G SDI capture cards. It's so funny. We finally got 2 4-port SDI cards into our computer literally like the week that all of our cameras just became NDI. But we kind of have to, because we need to do the latency testing. And we need to be able to compare traditional versus new age, right? Analog versus digital. And a lot of people, I think, are still going to go out. And here's a question for you guys in the chat room, if you're still watching. Would you rather, how do you feel more comfortable with going all IP with a PoE switch, or would you rather use the PoE switch just to power the cameras and still use SDI, which again, one of the things we have to remember is SDI is uncompressed, okay? 3 gigabits of uncompressed video versus, NDI HX, which is 10 megabits. It's very compressed compared to SDI, yet you can hardly notice the difference because of how well NDI has been built, and the send and receive is so smooth that you can't tell the difference. And that's the incredible thing. It's like kind of mind-boggling. So that's the question for you guys is, okay, so Joey's saying he wants to go all IP. And I've talked to many and many people, and this is not, you're not the only person, Joey. The thought of just plugging in a single cable, power over Ethernet, and being done anywhere in your building, it's something that's just so appealing to people who don't know what SDI cabling is. I'm guessing just over and over again in the chat, all IP, all IP. You know, Crafty Sin's saying that. John Trapani saying all IP. Joey Barron saying all IP. Matt Davis is saying all IP. Matt, I know you've been telling me this is going to be happening. You know, but for me still, I just live streamed a concert and I did all SDI. And I also did all serial cabling for the control. I don't know if anyone has ever done RS-232 daisy chaining of serial cabling, but it's actually a little bit of a bitch sometimes because you have to have each camera, you know, set to the right VISCA address. And if you're not on the right VISCA address, you can't do it from the joystick. You got to bring your remote. And I've got a camera behind backstage, right? It's 100 feet away from me. It's on the wrong VISCA address. And I can't touch it. And I guess I could have probably set all my VISCA addresses, before I left. And that's one of the things I've always learned, even with IP. So now, like, for example, there's a football team in Tennessee that's live streaming with 4 cameras. They're doing a recording for us. We're paying them actually to do a really nice commercial for a football team in Tennessee. And they're going to use all of our cameras. And we said, let's do it all over IP. But we still sent them SDI cabling because we wanted to see what they thought of uncompressed SDI or IP. But before I shipped them the cameras, I gave every single camera its own IP address. Then, let's see, where is that? I thought I had my joysticks around here somewhere. I don't know where it is now. I took my IP joystick and programmed in each IP address so that when he turns it on, all the IP addresses are there and it's all working great. Whereas with serial cabling, although it's instantaneous and it does work great and most people are comfortable with it, you might have already purchased that cabling. Why not do everything over IP? I think that's seems to be. I'm getting it from let's see, who is that? Samuel Mormon 2 on Facebook. Everyone's saying IP. So that is the gist of it. And I really appreciate everyone coming on. And we're still getting a lot of great questions. I'm going to hang out and keep chatting with you guys and answering the questions. We did a live demo of NDI and it worked. Woo! It worked really well. And it's one of those things, I'll just say last thing before we just jump into a couple of these questions, is that it's kind of one of those things where you just got to see it to believe it. You got to start using it to become more comfortable with it. But there's definitely going to be people in a year from now who don't even know what SDI cabling is possibly, right? Why would I use that? Why would they? As NDI progresses and gets better and better, not only is it a standard for pan-tilt zoom, right? So serial cabling especially, not only does it require a separate device and a hardware device, it can't all be done in the software. Serial cabling, that's going to go first. But SDI, and I have talked to some video producers who are perfectionists and nothing can be compressed. Well, be honest here. And here's the other thing. You guys are watching it on YouTube or Facebook, and it's already being compressed, right? YouTube, you're watching a 3 megabit per second stream. Facebook, you're watching half the quality at 1.5 megabits per second. And I could probably do 3 megabits per second to Facebook too. That's one thing I haven't tested, but we're multicasting, and therefore, or simulcasting, I can't remember now. We're doing 720 at 1.5 megabits to Facebook, 3 megabits per second to YouTube. And one of the things I've noticed, and I don't know if you guys have noticed this, one of the things I really love to compare one of these days, and I could do it now, but I'm not ready, is does YouTube and Facebook do their own color compression and correction? Because you take the colors, this is a very colorful scene, right? We've got blue and we've got red and we've got lights and all these different things. But does it look different on Facebook than it does on YouTube? I think it does, actually. Even though we're compressing and sending very similar signals to them via RTMP, I think that Facebook and YouTube actually have their own little color pops that they throw into your video production. You know, we've got to keep in mind we're using their content delivery network, so just something to think about. And with all of that being said, the compression, the color corrections in YouTube and Facebook outside of our control, the only reliable way to deliver this video to so many people around the world, how much does it really matter the minimalistic difference between SDI and NDI? It's certainly not latency, which was always the big barrier. It's no longer latency is not the issue. The only possible, under a microscope, potentially different things would be, you know, quality. Is there a quality difference? And all of the cameras you're seeing right now are NDI. So 1080p recordings available for viewing on demand. This is what we're seeing. So let me just get to these questions. I hope NewTek comes out with a native version of the software. I can't use all of these. I know. It's true, Joey. It's true. And it's so funny. The things that I know that I can't say, the things that Matt Davis is smart enough not to say it, talk about, the things that I can't talk about are sometimes talked about in the chat room. And you guys are saying, I wish this, I wish that. And I'm thinking, I can't even say whether or not I know something that might, you know, be coming down the pipeline, right? So a lot of times it's interesting. I will say that I will promise you that NewTek watches our shows and they do take note. And if you're asking for a software version, a native version of this, they know that there's a demand for it. Of course, you know, Andrew said on our show, if there were more hours in the day, he'd probably redo his iOS app, which could have really done a lot better, had a much better performance with the with NDI HX. And it's something, I mean, if we wanted to, I could show it. It didn't really perform very well. I mean, and I'm the kind of guy, I like to call things out. You know, here's the NDI app, right? I never thought it was very good. It didn't really work. I'll show it and we'll try it. And the reason why is because it's too much bandwidth for the Wi-Fi. And, you know, it was just, that's what they were using at the time. This is the low quality NDI feed. This is not the high quality NDI feed. I turn my playlist off. Now, I will turn the quality up. Oh, look at that. And then look at the latency. The quality does look better. So if I go kind of in the middle, it's actually not too bad. There's camera 1. All right, so this is the NDI camera. So actually, I have to take back what I just said. That actually looks pretty good. Interesting. So maybe I should take that back. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Interesting. Quite interesting how that looks and feels. There's the studio. Huh. So I kind of like it, just kind of like halfway in the middle there between. So there really is only 3 steps. Let's switch back here. So, and I see Jerome is asking about the camera switching so fast. I might want to change those a little, make them a little longer, because I do like the over-the-shoulder shot. Now, I have the tally lights, and I know somebody in there was asking about the tally lights. These are really cool from Tally Lights LLC. That is how I know which camera to look at. So it looks like it's going in. Every show I do it a little differently, and I'm tweaking and changing and trying things. This camera's on for about 20 to 25 seconds. Then it goes to this camera, and I know because I see a light right next to it. Joey is saying that Livestream has iPhones as camera sources. Yes, so they also support NDI. So technically, if you bought the NDI app, you could use that as well. The cool thing, you know, Livestream develops something. Wirecast has one. You know, vMix didn't have one. And it's so nice of NewTek to do this. They're developing it for everyone. So now vMix has the ability, if someone wants to buy a $10 app on their iPhone, can now add this. So it's very interesting. Crafty SID DC, I really like the tally light system. The interesting thing with tally lights are that depending on, your system, it might be easy/hard to set up. Like the Tally Lights LLC work great with vMix. They work with Wirecast on Windows, but not Mac. So it's interesting. So, Barnaby Campbell is saying Livestream is horrendous on every level. It's because I don't know how to use it. I don't want to say anything bad about it. It was just, it's foreign, until you learn stuff. It was foreign to me. I was like, what am I doing? And then I found how to add the NDI cameras. And I believe that even when I talked to Livestream, NDI integration is very new, and the native support is still being improved. So if you're having issues with Livestream and NDI, they're working on it. It's going to get a lot better. But I would say, vMix is probably one of the best with NewTek from what I've seen. And then Wirecast is really up there. But Wirecast, I don't believe, can go out. They can only come in. And I'd rather be able to come in than go out. But it's best to have both. Because right now, I am taking the output of my vMix from my master computer and bringing it into my laptop. In fact, I'll show this as my last thing because I always forget I've got this little NDI camera here and I might as well be using it. Sometimes I forget that I've got it right here. NDI source, NDI cam, and so basically here's my main production. Here is my secondary production. So if I didn't have the output of my first production to my second production, I wouldn't be able to live stream to Facebook as I'm doing now. So I'm a big fan of the output feature. It opens up a lot. Dave Edwards is saying I use NDI Cam at StreamCon for behind the scenes that Tim used. Yeah, I saw that. That was really cool. However, the NDI HX version, and hopefully that will lead to a Android version as well, is probably, because bandwidth is for wireless specifically, and that is the world we're jumping into with a lot of this stuff. It looks like Joey's saying it does ISO recording of 4 sources and streams. vMix can never do that. There's a lot of great stuff, and I think we covered what we wanted to cover today. We had an incredible chat today. The chat room was on fire. Thank you for being here. You guys did a lot. You guys mentioned a lot of cool stuff. The whole chat room actually gets stored on my WordPress using Chat Connect Pro, so I can actually go back, answer questions, and I always do a blog post where I sit down and think about what was just streamed, what we just talked about, what were the things that need to be talked about. And yes, Joey, you're right. NewTek can do some things that nobody else can do, and they're always talking about that, right? NewTek releases a feature, everyone else is trying to catch up, and they've been doing that for a long time. Now, vMix is on the cutting edge too, though. vMix call. I don't know if anyone knows this. All I'll say is that it's probably released, but Wirecast has Wirecast 8 coming out, and they might even one-up vMix. That's all I'm going to say. I can't remember if it was a beta that I was shown or a new release, but oh no, I have to ban this person for... I had to report this person and then block them. Goodness. Hopefully that didn't show up on the chat. That is one of the problems, is that so much chat. It's a freedom. It's a freedom. It's a right to chat and be shown on this show. Please do not talk about naked. Don't direct us to any nudity or anything bad. All right. That's probably a good place to start, to stop. And that's true, Joey. No iOS support, although with the NDI integration, I just used the iOS app with vMix just a few minutes ago. But yeah, and I think it's interesting. I don't know what the problem I would say with, I guess we'll end on this, is that the vMix call, it's always going out of your network, I think. So it's not really a local area network, high quality, low latency solution. Although it is pretty good quality and it is low latency, it's good enough to have a meeting, with anyone around the world. it is going out to the cloud. Well, it is peer-to-peer, but it does go through the public area internet. So I'm not sure how all that technology works. Thank you so much, everybody. It was a great show. We just attacked it. It was just we showed everything we needed to. It was really fun. Thank you all for being here. If you haven't joined the user group yet, it's a great place to hang out, meet people, and have fun. And we will end on that. Thanks so much, everybody. Take care.
PTZOptics presents Back to the Basics Live every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. A high-definition broadcast on Facebook, focusing on camera line tutorials with our Chief Streaming Officer, Paul Richards, and our social media manager, Tess Protesto. Back to the Basics Live. New videos every Wednesday.